Hello, my lovely BFFers out there. Here is your Tech Foundations Knowledge Bomb. So this month, we're talking about planning. We're also about using technology in your business and that awesome word, automation. So you and I are going to walk through some of the foundations, and then at the end, there's going to be a download. So be sure and grab that because it's got supporting information and kind of a way to get started. And I know some of you girls are already nailing parts of this, but really this is that holistic look. And as you go through and you apply these foundations, the other thing I want to have happen is this mindset shift for you, this new lens that you look at your business through and you start to see the possibilities. Maybe you've got the systems that you need today, but as things change, because they always do, and new things happen, that you're seeing the possibilities for technology in your business so that you can continue to focus on what's important for you and where you're adding value and letting the robots do their job where they're better at it, or where you're not adding the value that you are when you do other things. So let's get started. I'm down in the corner here. So we're going to talk about a little bit about how you grow your business. Why do we use technology? Why do we care? Why do we put up with it? Why do we want to keep changing? Well, because Oompa Loompas only really work well for Willy Wonka. The rest of us have to either automate or delegate. That is, use the crap out of technology or get somebody in to help us. And even when we do that, we want to be able to be leveraging them to their fullest potential. So that's really what technology is doing for us. The other thing is, it's protecting an irreplaceable asset. And we can talk about the value of everything else, money, your assets, your business, your brain, which is also very important. But time is the irreplaceable asset, is what none of us will ever get more of. So we've got to protect it, and technology can help us do that. So the first foundation is you need to have everything everywhere. So let's just first talk about security. So let's get this out of the way. Yes, we live in a world where honestly nothing is totally secure. There's this spectrum. I like to talk about this spectrum between security and convenience. You choose where you live on the spectrum. Either you're totally secure and everything is wildly inconvenient, or you're totally convenient and everything's wildly insecure. So neither one of those extremes service us very well. So we kind of find our way on the continuum. And when you use the right systems, things are secure. And if you're aware, which is what I'm here to talk to you about, then things are secure. So why you need everything everywhere? Well, acting in the moment saves you time. It's like being able to take that phone call and send that file or make that appointment, or getting that text and being able to respond to it because you have the information at hand, or getting an email and going, right, she needed that and here it is. Because that saves you from, oh, I got to do that when I get home or when I get back to my computer. Gone are those days. There's no excuse. The technology is there. The connections are there. You need to be using it to maximize your business. So let's talk about what are all the things that you should have in all the places. So first of all, your passwords. My soapbox is password manager. Your browser is not a password manager because it's not what it does primarily. And secondarily, if you have your password saved in your browser, you're not going to get them on your phone. Typically not. So use a password manager. RoboForm, LastPass, those are my two favorite. Keychains, one, this all Mac. If it is primarily a password manager and it acts and looks and smells like a password manager and has good information about security, then use it. I don't care which one it is, but use it because that's one of the things that you need to have in all the places. If you are somewhere and you're ready to send a file and you need to log into your Google Drive and you don't know your Google credentials, then it doesn't do you any good. So have your passwords in all the places. Email, contacts, calendar, your to-do list, which is not your inbox, by the way. But all of these pieces should be available in all the places. Now, if you're using a paper calendar, that's fine. But you may evaluate how beneficial that is to your business and if maybe there's a way you can go digital with that, because there's another reason for that we'll talk about in a little bit. Any other critical information? So I have my health insurance information stored in my password manager as a safe note. But vehicle ID numbers, any other critical information for your business, like your EIN number, because who remembers that, or any of those pieces, make sure that you have that stored somewhere where you can get to it whenever you need it. And if something dramatic or drastic or tragic were to happen to one of your devices, that you wouldn't be able to get that information somewhere else. So the other reason that this foundation is important, besides the fact that you need to not spend the mental energy to be managing the pieces in different places or places that they're not talking to one another, is that you can't connect any other systems if you don't have this foundation. So if you're not using Google or Microsoft Office 365 for your email, you're going to have a hard time triggering things off of emails or sending yourself emails or integrating with those systems, because honestly, your web hosting provider's email does not talk to other systems. So these foundations are important for all the rest of what we're going to talk about. So there you go, foundations. This is one of my favorite slides. Scroll! You need to have intentional attention grabbers. Facebook notifications are squirrels. It's just what I think. You have to use notifications strategically. I know every app that you install on your phone wants to notify you about all the things. You don't really care about the weather in Zimbabwe today. You need to be very picky about what notifies you. Social media, 8 times out of 10, should not be what's notifying you. Now, if you've got a group that you manage and you have group notifications turned on, that's cool, because that does need your... But maybe you also manage when you're notified about that, or when you turn on Do Not Disturb on your phone. But you need to be picky about what notifies you and when you are notified. So if you require a good amount of sleep, deep sleep, for functioning well, then you definitely should have Do Not Disturb on your phone at night. Yeah, because nothing should be notifying you at night. Unless, but of course, you know, each one of us has exceptions. Great. Get a system. System for dealing with urgent, must-know types of notifications. What are those exceptions? You have exceptions on your Do Not Disturb list. For me, I only check email a couple times a day. I do not have any email notifications on. However, if a client emails me with a keyword in the subject line, which I have informed them of, it will then trigger a text via Zapier, which we'll talk about in a minute, to my phone, so that I know that there's something I need to act on immediately. So get really clear about what it is that you're going to be needing to act on immediately, and then be very rigorous about it. And decide what system you need to have in place. And sometimes it's easiest just to kind of write out the job description for that system and then go find the pieces. Because seriously, there are a ton. I've got a link in there about the different ways that you can be notified in different systems that can help you, but you first have to figure out what that looks like for you. All right, now we're going to talk about wrangling your workflow. Besides Facebook newsfeed, there's lots of ways to get sucked into the void. And so staying out of that void really requires a plan. So email is the second worst time vampire. Facebook newsfeed, I believe, is number 1, because it's just mesmerizing, hypnotizing. It pulls you in. So I recently installed a Chrome extension to block that. It's called Newsfeed Eradicator, but it requires a plan. So stay out of your email. Decide how it is you want to handle your email. That is not leaving your inbox open all day. That is not using your inbox as a to-do list, because those two things are the anti-plan to keeping you out of the void. The other thing is, be mindful of where you're adding value. So scheduling appointments. Back and forth. You know, you can go back and forth all day long. And so there are great services out there like Acuity, like You Can Book.me, many other scheduling services. There's also ones that work within Gmail. So if scheduling appointments is something you do with great regularity, you need to have a plan about how that gets done so that you are minimizing the time and maximizing the value of that. Batching. So like things like other like things. When you sit down to plan your week, which I know you're going to do because we're reading that 12-week year and we're all going to be weekly planning, or at least, you know, considering that in whatever system that you're using. When you sit down to write your to-do list or look at Asana or whatever it is, group like things with like things, because switching costs are high. You know, the mental, again, the reason that we need to control our notifications is that our attention, when we bounce between things, that's costing us time. It's costing us mental anguish too, because we're trying to remember what we were doing. It's like walking into the room and going, why was I here? But instead, you could like make a stack of things, and then when you walk into the room, you have this stack of things to remind you why you were there. So batching, putting like things with like things. And this, for me, I've had to kind of work on over time, and it's like many things in your business, it will be a work in process, but keeping that kind of tickler in your head will help you, because then when you get like things batched with like things, you'll start to see, oh, I have Zapier doing this, or I have my ActiveCampaign doing this. I think I could do it with these other things. So that's another cue for you about how else you can be using technology. And then my favorite, the original automation tool, checklists. Yes, very unsexy. It seems very analog. However, checklists are a way for you to be able to start in to automations, because you can't automate things if the information is not accessible, so that we covered that foundation. 2, you can't automate things if you don't know what you're trying to automate. If you don't know how you're trying to use the technology, it's kind of hard. And then we get into what I like to call tool drool, which is a lot like squirrel. But it's like, oh, is this cool new thing and I got to use it? Well, if you have a checklist, then you know what you're trying to automate, and then you can pick out the pieces or find the right tool that will do all of those things for you. So stay out of the void by having a plan. Don't spend your time in email. Find a programmatic, systematic way to do things that are recurring, like scheduling appointments. Batch yourself up and use checklists. So then, finally, we're going to talk about getting the information into your system. The robots are way better at this, I guarantee it. Human error, we get distracted, we forget to do things. There's a new rule for you. No more manual entry. Okay, so with one small exception. If this is something you're never ever going to have to do again, or something that is very small or very specialized, and you don't have to do it again. You know, there are some exceptions, but on the up and up, on the large part of it, really, no more manual entry. So you get cards and networking events and conferences, great, scan them. Do not enter them by hand, because if that's how you're doing it, I can see your desk. I'm using my ESP. I can see your desk, and it looks like, oh, there's a bunch of cards stacked on your desk. So stop doing that. There's also other services. I use one called EverContacts that automatically will add information from email signatures into your contacts. So maybe you've exchanged a couple emails and you're ready to call somebody. Well, if they put their phone number in their signature, for me at least, it's already in my contacts, which is fabulous. And then, now that you have all of your information available, because you took item number 1, you've got everything everywhere, you can connect your systems so that they can do the work, so that they can work together. So for example, when someone purchases something from me on PayPal, they get added to my email list. Amazing, fantastic. So that's what you need to know about no manual entry. So those are all the pieces to put together. There it is. I'm into my slideshow. You can see me again. Those are the tech foundations that you need to be putting together in your business. So use the download. Click the link, download the accompanying download PDF. It gives you a checklist. And then hit us up for comments, questions, and other insights. So that's your knowledge bomb for this month, using tech foundations in your business. We'll see you next time.